with the hot temperatures, we also have plants that aren't doing well because pollen can be sterile. They can drop fruit just as a protection for themselves.
Okay, so when all that happens, does that protect? Is the plant going into self-protect mode?
Pretty much.
Okay, so it has its own built-in mechanisms to try and ward off the excess moisture, cool, or then, in the case we have had lately, excess heat.
Yes.
So, it's pretty amazing what Mother Nature can do. We already know that. But, is there anything now that people can really do to assist the plants? Because it's got to take a stress toll on the plant, does it not?
So, yes, all of these things stress out plants. So the too much water, we can't do anything about.
Unfortunately.
Really. But drought conditions, we can water, and preferably at the base of the plants, so we're not getting them wet.
Okay.
So that helps prevent diseases. And it gets the moisture where it needs to be.
So you want that moisture going directly to the root system and not being
That's right.
exposed into the heat, where sometimes it can evaporate or allow insects and other things that we have out there to maybe nibble on the plants, or even just maybe even ward off diseases that the plant could get.
Yes.
And so, is there a better time of the day, especially in kind of like these really, really excessively hot days? Nobody really wants to be out there at 4 in the afternoon when it's 105. But is there a better time to do that watering that's the best for the plant?
A lot of it depends on when you have time.
Okay.
So,
That's fair.
So we really say we don't want to put our plants to bed wet. So, but if you're watering at the base, shouldn't be an issue. Or if you do have to get the foliage wet, you want them to have time to dry before it gets dark.
Okay. So in these little spot showers that we get that come up at night, you know what I'm talking about. Early in the evening, we get this downpour, and then
if I actually got some of those, I hear a lot of thunder, but
you don't get the rain.
I haven't been missing it.
Oh, Lord. All right. Well, anyway, for some of us who have gotten some of that rain, is there a way in the evening? Obviously, the plants are going to go to bed wet. Would it be wise to take like a blower out there and try and blow that water off?
Nope, it's not worth it.
Okay.
It is what it is as far as Mother Nature goes.
So let me ask you, the nutrients in the soil, obviously the soil's getting very, very dry. And when that happens, they've got to lose some of their nutrients, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It just means that they're sometimes not available when we don't have moisture there, because that moisture allows that transfer into the plant.
Okay. So without the moisture, all the nutrients in the ground that are sitting there, we'll say, for no better use of a term, dormant, waiting to be activated by a little water.
Yes, that it's a complicated process how the nutrients bind to soil particles, and there's charges, and then moisture plays a role in that. So, yep.
So when all that is going on, and you're waiting, obviously you're waiting for, I guess, the optimal temperatures, like we're talking about before we came on the air, maybe getting into the upper 70s or low 80s come the weekend, maybe even starting tomorrow, where it's more optimal for the plant. Does it then? I don't know how to maybe phrase this. Coming off of heat stress, it has to obviously relax the plant a little bit, but is that the optimal time to make sure that it has plenty of water?
So yes, typical rule of thumb for vegetables and most other flowers and different things is 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water per week.
Okay.
So, of course, most places have not been getting that. And well, when we have high temperatures, we need more water.
I see. And obviously because of the evaporation rate.
Yes.
Do you have a table on evaporation rates? I'm sure there's one available somewhere. As the temperature rises, how much moisture is actually taken out of the ground?
I'm sure there are, and actually, I think that might be a part of some of our weather stations.
Okay.
One of them has an estimated evapotranspiration rate.
Okay.
On it.
Well, it would give somebody an idea as the temperature rises how much water is actually being lost from the ground.
Yes.
And then how much really needs to be put back.
Yep.
It sounds like a pretty good tool to use, especially if you have a lot of plants. Is flowers and let's say the same as vegetables when it comes to water needs? Are there two different dogs here?
Typically very similar.
Okay.
Unless, of course, you've got flowers in containers.
Okay.
Containers are going to need watering every day, or depending on how big they are and how big the plants are, maybe twice a day in this type of weather.
Is that because they're exposed kind of all around with the heat and the humidity?
So, yeah, they drain out. Water moves through those and drains. Also, if you use clay pots, they lose water from the side and the bottom.
Right. So there's a strategy to everything you do, isn't there?
Yes.
There really is. So I mean, and a lot of people right now, I know they had a great, especially early this summer, great vegetable garden with all the moisture and stuff, and then it got warm and everything sprouted. But right now they're really struggling to try and get anything going because of the intense heat, obviously, and but it's not time to give up, is it?
It's not. Now is the time to be thinking about your fall garden.
There you go.
And hopefully these temperatures will cool, and we can get in more green beans, cucumbers before frost. Some of your summer squash, like squash, zucchini. And then we look at our cool season crops. Your broccoli, your cabbage, cauliflower, your lettuces, radishes, turnips, all of those.
And it seems that we have had a longer growing season the last few years, almost into, I'm going to say mid to late November. Is that
Yes.
what you're seeing?
So our rule of thumb is our frost date is October 15th. However, last year it was well into November, and the year before it was November. So if you pay attention to the weather, you can use some frost covers if we'd have a day or two, and then extend really that season.
Well, it seems like Mother Nature's kind of extended the season already. But like you're saying, if you're aware of the weather situation and you take the precautions, you can actually grow into mid-November, can't you?
You can.
It just takes a little effort on the grower's part, correct?
Yes.
Now, when we start to look at yield, when we get real hot temperatures like this, does it, obviously, if everybody's doing everything they're supposed to and watering the plants at the base, and we've got still some pretty good crops, does it affect the yield when it's this hot? I mean, does the plant kind of go into retraction mode and just say, I need to hold on to everything I have and maybe just yield a little bit of fruit or a little bit of veggies, or is it still just good?
And sometimes not at all,
Oh.
depending on what it is. So like tomatoes, the pollen gets sterile in the 90s temperature range.
Okay.
So they won't pollinate. The flowers drop. Like squash, pumpkins, all of those, they only set male flowers, so they have separate male and female flowers. And so if we have no female, we have no pollination.
Yeah.
And so if it's too hot or too cool, they only set male flowers.
Wow. We're talking with Katie Kamler from the University Extension. She's a horticultural specialist. And we're talking about the effects of this crazy weather that we have had on our plants. And Katie, there's nothing we can do about the weather, but can people get prepared? Obviously, we have seen these kind of weather changes here in the last few years to where we're getting either intense heat or excess rain. I mean, yeah, I know if you've got plants in the ground, hard to do anything about excess rain, but maybe elevate the plants a little bit or maybe try something different?
So raised beds can help with moisture, whether that's a constructed raised bed or you're just hilling, making ridges and planting in ridges.
Okay. And when we do that, we can effectively kind of help control the situation ourselves, can we not?
We can help those.
Yeah.
We can modify our environments a bit.
Very good. Now, I have seen some people really taking their own gardens very seriously, and they're running a watering system into there with a little trickle off of a hose. Obviously, not everybody can afford to do that, but if you can, is that the best way to make sure your plants are getting the proper nutritions?
So drip irrigation and soaker hoses work great. There are some really on the cheap side and fairly easy to use drip irrigation systems now.
Okay.
So that keeps that moisture down. You're not using as much water. They're pretty efficient. But it's knowing when to run them and how long and all of that.
Right, exactly right. And so if somebody has that, they need to do some investigation into how much water, the right times of day to do it, correct?
Yes.
And make sure that the plants are getting watered at the base where they need to get watered.
Yes.
We already talked about that. So it's very good. So these irrigation systems, are some of them that I have seen lately, especially here in Denton County, I've seen a couple of them, where they're based off rainwater. They all come out like a rainwater barrel, and it always gets fed by the rainwater. Now, you can put more water in there if you want to, tap water or even spring water or whatever you want. But do you see more of that starting to come up now again?
I haven't seen it much in this area, but yes, any way to capture water, there is getting to more interest in that, for sure.
Well, it's cheaper.
Yeah, particularly if you're on city or county water and you're paying for your water.
Yeah, and they do some.
Of course, running a well pump is also expensive,
yeah,
or can be.
Well, yes, it can be very expensive. And that's why I think a lot of people nowadays, from their guttering systems, they run it into like a cistern or even in just a big barrel, and then they have their watering systems off that, which is not a bad idea.
And historically, that was how people gathered water, with cisterns.
So it's not a bad idea to look into it if you're going to have, I'll say, a fairly moderate to large garden, correct?
Sure.
All right, very good. So we talked a little bit about trying to get through the summer, but let's talk about all the good results we've gotten from the summer. Let's say we've had a lot of good growth in our garden, and now we need to preserve it. What about canning? Is that a good idea to do it this time of year?
So yes, of course, when we're getting garden harvest or fruits, freezing, canning, drying, there's lots of different preservation methods, and it's a great way to have that produce year-round.
And the Extension has a lot of videos and information about canning and freezing, don't they?
Yes.
And that's usually all free.
Yep.
Free is a good word.
Yeah. They even offer classes periodically and on hands-on type classes for canning and different preservation methods.
I don't know of any in the immediate future. Are you aware of any?
I am not at the moment.
Okay. Well, that's okay. People can go on the University of Missouri Extension website, and it's chock full of all the different classes and events that are held throughout all the different counties, all summer long and even into the fall. So maybe one of those classes will be showing up on one of those events.
Yep.
Very easy to do. Just going to your University of Missouri website, and you can look at here in Dent County, but you can look at all the counties. You don't just have to limit it to Dent County.
That's right.
Yeah, always a good thing. So let's just keep turning the clock forward a little bit. So we talked a little bit about fall crops. All right. So we get our fall crops in. What can we do to look forward to next year? What can we do after we harvest all of our crops, we get it all in, we get our vegetable garden taken up? What's the best way of, I don't want to say ensuring a great harvest the following year. Nobody can promise that. But what's the best way to prepare your garden for the following year?
So sanitation. So pulling out anything that was diseased, had a lot of insects, anything like that, pull that out. You don't want to put that back into the garden because that can be diseases for next year.
I see.
It's a good time to do a soil test and find out, if you haven't done one in a few years, find out what nutrients you need. If you need lime to increase the soil pH and allow the nutrients to be available to the plant.
Okay. And what's the best time of year to take that soil test and then to apply any lime or anything you might need? What would the best time be?
So honestly, it's whenever you get around to it. we get soil tests all times of the year.
I imagine so.
But fall is a good time. Because if you do need lime, that needs to be applied as soon as possible so it has time to change the soil pH by the time you plant again.
And if we had a nice winter with a little bit of snow, that would really be best to spread that lime out. Would it not?
That can be helpful.
That's another thing you probably haven't seen in quite a while. It's a lot of snow. Yeah, and it really, Mother Nature had its own way of really kind of recycling every year, did it not?
Sure.
Yeah, we're not seeing that as much as we used to, are we?
No.
We're getting extremes, aren't we?
That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So not much you can do about floods, but this extreme heat is definitely hard on anybody. And I guess, Katie, we always want to remind people not to overdo it out there in your garden in the hot sun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's common sense, but, when people get started picking, I'll just do one more row or I'll just do this.
Yep.
It doesn't take long to get overheated, does it?
No, and take those breaks, shade, sometimes working early morning or later in the evening. I know that there's some things I've been putting off in hopes that it's going to be cooler here. Or I know that, okay, I'm going to do this one task, then I'm going to go take a break and get a drink and cool off before I go do something else.
When it gets this hot and oppressive, does it hurt the community gardens where they are? I haven't not been out to ours here lately, but people don't want to get out there because it is so hot. Does it hurt them?
No. So I know I visited a local one here last week, and the weeds had the ability to take over. We've had lots of good weed growth, and the reality is, one, people don't want to be out pulling weeds or hoeing out weeds when it's this hot.
Right.
And when it's dry, they're also a lot harder to pull or get out. That
is true. Weeds go deep, don't they?
They do.
Yeah,
they don't care what the weather's doing. They do just fine.
They do just fine. But, I always like to remind people we do have a great community garden here in Salem, and your first plot is free. So anybody ever wants to do anything, even a fall garden would be a good idea if you haven't tried one yet. Get out there and find out more about it. You can call your local extension office for more information, 729-3196. They'll get you in touch with either Charlie or Tom, and they'll help you get your plot. And then you can do your own thing out there and hopefully have a nice harvest come maybe mid to late November, right in
That's
time
right.
for Thanksgiving. You know, there is nothing better than homegrown vegetables, is there?
That's right.
Don't know why it's so different, but it has a different taste. It seems like it has more nutrients. Is that correct?
Nutrients, not necessarily, but you get the pride of knowing you grew it. You get to control how it's grown.
True.
And you probably can get, if you like to, experiment different varieties that you wouldn't be able to purchase in the grocery store.
Well, that is true. That is true. I didn't think about that, but yes, I always kind of called it sweat equity. You know, when I had to pull
Sure.
when I had to pull the lettuce and tomatoes and the radishes, and I made a salad, it sure did taste real good.
That's right.
Yes, I guess that might be the best way to look at it. Do you have anything else you'd like to pass on to our listeners this morning, Katie?
Well, as you said, always look online for programs that are coming up and what your local office has going on. And if you have garden questions or plant questions, I'm a phone call or email away and happy to help.
All right. Well, you want to give your number out to our listeners, please?
Sure. It's 573-883-3548.
And you're not in our area. You're over on the east side.
Yep. I cover Dent County, but I'm headquartered in St. Genevieve.
Yeah, and that had a chance to actually have a little vacation in St. Genevieve back in the spring. Really enjoyed it. I went on the historical tour.
All right.
And that was a very interesting tour. I was glad I went. So
Yeah.
learned a little bit about your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's
So,
a neat area.
Very neat area. Very neat area. Well, Katie, I do appreciate you getting in touch with us today and talking about what's going on with our weather and our plants. And yeah, we all know that it hasn't been exactly ideal this summer, but we've had excessive rains. I mean, we had that 12-inch rain back in November, and I think we've been
Yeah.
wet ever since until about a month ago, and then we've had, just the spot showers. We haven't had
That's
a
right.
nice, good soaker. So hopefully this weekend, as weather people are talking, we should drop about 15 to 20 degrees as far as the heat index is concerned, and temperature should actually get in the low 80s. So that will take maybe a little stress off.
I sure hope so.
Well, Katie, as always, we appreciate your time, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of the year. I don't think we'll talk to you again until next spring.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you for your time again, and we
You're welcome.
appreciate the University Extension and all you guys do. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Katie Kamler, University Extension horticultural specialist over in St. Jen, talking a little bit about your plants. Now, remember what she was saying is don't forget to definitely water them at the base. Don't water them on the leaves. You want to water them at the base, especially in these super hot days. And just make sure that you do give them plenty of water. Obviously, you don't want to try and overwater anything. But, as I was mentioning earlier about the tables that they might have for evaporation. So you might get in touch with the National Weather Service or take a look online if you have the opportunity in our area. Sometimes the Conservation Department has that information as well, that you might help your own garden by knowing just exactly how much evaporation is happening with these extraordinarily hot days. And we all know the ground gets super hard. We definitely know that, and dry. But as Katie mentioned, weeds have a fine way of finding their way through and kind of clogging things up out there. So again, if you have any questions or need more information about your plants, vegetables, your flowers, even fall plants that'll be coming up that you might want to do some harvesting in the fall, get in touch with Katie, 573-883-3548. We really do appreciate Katie Kamler, horticultural specialist from the University of Missouri, on our interview on this Wednesday. It's our Extension Wednesday right here on KSMO Media.